Welcome to BW Healthcare World. Today is the World Homeopathy Day, something that we celebrate each year on the 10th of April to pay tribute to homeopathy and its contribution to the world of medicine. The day is observed on the occasion of the birth anniversary of the German physician Dr. Christian Friedrich Samuel Hahnemann, known as the founder of homeopathy. While practicing, he found that in order to treat the patient's sickness, the ingredients that cause the disease's symptoms must be administered. He developed the principle, something that in English language means let like cure like, in the late 18th century. Thus, homeopathy works on the principle of like cures like. Today, homeopathy is widely used in India, and in fact, India has also become one of the largest producers of homeopathic medicines. My first guest today on this special occasion is Dr. Mukesh Batra ji. Welcome, Dr. Mukesh Batra, to BW Healthcare World. Thank you so much for taking out time to be with us today on this special occasion. Dr. Mukesh Batra is widely known for his using modern technology to bring standardization to homeopathic healthcare solutions. He is regarded by some as the pioneer of the homeopathy or modern homeopathy in India. He started the world's first branded and computerized homeopathy clinic in 1982. So, welcome Dr. Mukesh Batra ji to BW Healthcare World. Thank you so much for taking out time to be with us on this special day. I know you always take out time for us. So, Dr. Batra, in fact, my first question is around this only, that homeopathy is a new form of medicine. Many of us think that it's an old form. It's actually the newest form of medicine. But even then, it has been centuries since it has been founded. In fact, now you have been practicing it for over 50 years. And in the modern medicine is evolving, it is obviously a result of a lot of research and development that happens in this space. We always think of R&D only in the allopathic space, but obviously in homeopathy also, there's a lot of requirement for R&D. How has homeopathy evolved over the years, and what has been the role of research to where we see homeopathy today?
So thank you very much. And that's really a wonderful question to begin with. So, let me just give you some examples. So, homeopathy, when it was founded by Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, who was a German doctor, he was like the only practicing doctor, obviously, except for a few followers that he had. Today, homeopathy is being followed, almost by more than 50 crore people all over the world. And so the following has increased, billions times over as compared to what it was when it started, more than 250 years ago. So that's the first thing that, its popularity has grown. It's growing 25% back to back for the last 5 years all over the world. It is the second largest system of medicine in the world, even though it's one of the youngest, according to World Health Organization. So, obviously there's a lot of scope of growth that has happened over the years for the science itself and the belief as well. So similarly, for example, India also has the largest number of homeopathic practitioners in the world. So we have almost 3 lakh practitioners of homeopathy in India, and there are almost 5 to 6 lakhs all over the world. So more than 50% of all the practicing doctors of homeopathy are in India, and out of the 50 crore followers, 10 crore followers are in India. So over the years, homeopathy actually evolved in India and in the rest of the world. Today, it's legally practiced in almost every country in the world. More than 150 countries in the world, homeopathy is legally practiced. So it has, really, really moved a long way from where it used to be. During Hahnemann's time, the doctor who founded homeopathy, there were hardly 200 basic drugs. Today, there are more than 2,000 clinically proven drugs which are available for doctors. And of course, there are umpteen number of complex medicines, which are OTC products, which are being sold all across the world. So there has been a lot of progress in the finding of new drugs, making sure that how are they proved and how they brought into the pharmacopoeia as well. So as you know, there are some, internationally recognized pharmacopoeia. India is one of them, the Indian pharmacopoeia. You also have the European pharmacopoeia, the British pharmacopoeia, and you have the American pharmacopoeia. But so that kind of lays down the rules and the principles on which drugs should be formulated and new medicines should be discovered and listed. So there's a system to uh, how this is happening over the years. And like I said, it's expanded from just 200 basic drugs to more than 2,000 basic drugs. So now, if you talk about a drug discovery, in neuropathy, it takes what, at least 20 years, sometimes more than that, to get one drug discovery. Now, to have added 2,000 remedies in the last 200 and odd years is quite an achievement, I think. So there has been enough, a lot of R&D going on in the discovery of new remedies, in the clinical provings as well. There have been a lot of double-blind trials that have been conducted all over the world, but a lot more needs to be done. So I think, getting clinical evidence and getting, clinical provings of the results of homeopathic medicines, a lot of it is happening, but a lot more needs to be done still.
And do you think India will, I know that in the last 1 year, there has been a lot of emphasis on R&D in allopathy focused on India, because it was always a question that while we are manufacturing a lot of medicines, but there's not enough drug discovery happening in India. Do you think India will be a destination for R&D for homeopathy, since we have
See,
so
it
many
will be.
practitioners in India now?
It will be, because it is the largest base of homeopathic lovers, practitioners, doctors, and followers. So it stands to logic. I mean, all it needs is scientific temperament, and it needs finance. And there is always the Central Council of Homeopathy, which is kind of doing a certain amount of research as well in certain disorders. We are also doing something. We are going to start something. We just started actually with a college in Lucknow as part of our CSR activity, where we are going to do some research on rheumatoid arthritis and PCOD and things like that, and kind of document all these cases over the years, so that we can actually then get machine learning and scientific evidence on the efficacy of homeopathy medicines for these disorders. So specific diseases and their clinical efficacy is something that is being studied. We are also doing it as part of our CSR. But like I said, a lot more needs to be done.
Absolutely. And Dr. Batra, since you're talking of education and homeopathy, one of the things that India has been known for in our society is that every parent wanted, at least until very recently, their child to either become an engineer or a doctor. Now, but the first choice still remains allopathic medicine for them to study. You are someone who has evangelized homeopathy with full conviction and have promoted it, and have also been a very successful practitioner, built a large organized practice around it. Can you share your experience and share what makes a practitioner succeed, and why homeopathy should no more be a second choice, but be a subject of choice while planning a career?
So as you correctly mentioned, that you said that the first choice used to be either a doctor or an engineer for an Indian home. This is no longer true. Now probably they want somebody to be a stock market expert. The way the stock market is booming, and people want quick fixes and they want quick money. In medicine, it's a long haul. In medicine, it actually takes a long time to establish a practice, to get recognition among patients, to get a name for yourself. So it's a very, very long and slow haul. I mean, there's no quick money in it in that sense, or quick recognition. For both, you have to struggle a lot. It takes a long time, and perhaps this is why it's really not really the first choice. Having said that, people still want. I mean, I would say 90% of people who come for homeopathy, particularly, are women today. Not in all colleges, not in all states, but in a lot of states. And there, I believe that a lot of them don't even practice medicine. So it's really that they just want a degree so that they become, their marriage prospects kind of increase, if I may use this word. Even though there's a lot of workforce in homeopathy, which is still females and lady doctors, and I must say that they are extremely dedicated, and some of them are even, I would say, even better than males, because they have the emotive touch with males don't have. So women make actually excellent doctors, and we are blessed to have a lot of them in homeopathy. But having said that, a lot of them don't practice, and they're sitting at home and they just married and then domesticated. So That's what we are trying to do in our company, also trying to get jobs for work from home, so that, like we have an international portal where you can, like a kind of a web consultation that you can have. So we have, lady doctors who are experienced sitting at home. They can actually talk to patients and prescribe medicines from them from all over the world through a cyber clinic. So we are kind of evolving these kind of patterns so that, we can get more people who are sitting at home, especially the ladies, involved in this thing, give them also a sense of achievement and belonging to society, not just money. It's important. So there are things evolving now, which will kind of make change this, a little bit as compared to what it is today. But it is a challenge. It is a challenge, first of all, to get everybody into homeopathy, because, as you correctly said, it is not the first choice. Maybe it is the second choice or the third choice, because people want to go for medicine, then they want to go in for dentistry, and then maybe homeopathy, and then maybe Ayurveda. I don't know whether that's the right order, but in India, it appears to be like that so far, But it's a very long drawn. It's like 5.5 years of education again. So it takes a lot out of you. So I would really say that if you have the passion and the drive to serve society, to help people, to reach out in areas where modern medicine or allopathy does not work, and expand your, I would say your bucket of tools, if I may use that word, and medicines that you have, to reach out to many more people, then homeopathy is a choice that you should be taking. And again, if you want a good life relatively, because generally there are no emergencies, which is again why women prefer homeopathy. You can have fixed hours of work, So for all of this, it also gives you a better quality of life. And therefore, I believe that homeopathy should be the first choice, but more importantly, because it is holistic, because it is safe, and because it causes no harm, and because it goes to the root of the problem and actually cures problems from the root, which is why it should be the preferred form of therapy. Unfortunately, it is not today.
But I think, a lot of people.
So far.
No, but I really think that, what you have done, other than evangelizing homeopathy with a lot of conviction, as I said earlier, is also showcase to the world that, how a medical practice around homeopathy needs to be organized. Because, in fact, my next question is, that comes to our mind is that a lot of people, because of lack of uh, organized way of learning homeopathy, were reading books. And I remember a lot of people in my grandfather's time would have that wooden box with pills in it, and there was unorganized practice going around in localities where people were reading books based on their own experience, giving medicines to others. A lot of people then, over a period of time, who benefited from homeopathy started using these medicines on their own. And then you have books which have also been written by you, where we know that this medicine can be taken for this particular symptom. And you just mentioned that homeopathy is a safe medicine. What advice would you have for people who start using medicines at home by reading books or by just listening to what is happening around them? What is your word of caution to them? Is there any risk in this? What is your advice?
First of all, I plead guilty because I've already written, 10 books. My latest book is going to be out on 22nd of April, which is Feel Good, Heal Good with Homeopathy. Yeah. And it's on mental health and emotional health. So, and that's just one of the many self-help books that I've written on homeopathy. So I believe that one way of doing it is I'm doing it because I want to popularize homeopathy. I want people to get the benefits. Everybody can't afford to go to a doctor. They're not easily available. Forget about the money. So I believe that if you can self-treat yourself and heal yourself at home, at least for most of the minor ailments, you can save a lot of angst amongst your own family and your own people, for yourself, a lot of pain, and of course, save a lot of money as well. So I think it's a good thing to do, from that point of view. Having said that, it's actually illegal to practice homeopathy without a license, and therefore you cannot kind of distribute it as a profession to other people. So you should be careful about that. Treating your own family members and people who are close to you is okay. And doing it, without any cost is also okay. Having said that, I always say there's a caution as well, as you mentioned, because there are two kinds of treatments. One is an acute treatment, and there are acute remedies which are very short acting. Like, for example, you get Econite, Belladonna, some examples I'm giving you, Arnica, these are like household names as well. You could use them very easily, frequently, with no side effects whatsoever, because it's safe. Basically, it's not toxic. When we say it's safe, means it's not toxic. It has no chemicals which are harmful to the body. Therefore, it will not cause you kidney failure or liver failure, organ failure. Those kind of things don't happen with homeopathic medicines.
Right.
But having said that, there are certain deep acting constitutional medicines, which is what we give when we want to treat people from the root. Now, that should only be taken under medical advice from a qualified homeopathic doctor. And you should only get that. So if you've got a chronic problem like a psoriasis or an asthma or arthritis or a rheumatoid arthritis or any other such problem, like an atopic dermatitis, which is very long lasting, then you should not treat yourself. You should go to a doctor, a homeopathic doctor who's qualified, take a proper consultation, which can take 45 minutes to 1 hour, sometimes even more, and get what is known as a constitutional treatment. That is a kind of a bespoke medicine that will suit only you. It doesn't work for anybody else. It's something which is specific only for your needs, because homeopathy does not always treat the disease, it treats the patient. So there can be, 100 different patients from migraine, but all of them will not get paracetamol. Just to give a very kind of easily understood example. Right. Depending on their personality, depending on somebody who's very finicky, may need a medicine, arsenic, for example. Again, in very small doses, absolutely safe. It's not a poison. So don't think of it that way and don't get alarmed. But for people who are very finicky, kind of border on OCD, and then they get these kind of headaches very often and migraine, that's a very good medicine. So depending on the personality, depending on the kind of person you are, depending on when you headache, what time of the day it is worse, what time does it get better, what naturally makes it better or worse, all of that makes a lot of difference. And then on the basis of that, you decide a specific medicine which is suited only for you. And for that, you need to go to a qualified doctor, homeopathy.
Absolutely. I think you very well said and you articulated. And what I take off is that since homeopathy works on the cause of what is causing the symptom, don't just go by the symptom. You need to understand what is causing this, and there's a science behind how homeopathy works. So while you may be trying to take a medicine based on what symptoms you are facing, but you may not understand what is causing this. So for which you need to go to a doctor once. That's if it's correct, sir. Yeah. Perfect. And Dr. Batra, we've been meeting regularly, and what I've observed is that you are also very inclined to use technology in your practice. Now, how do you integrate homeopathy practice with the modern medical approaches that use a lot of technology and scientific advancement?
Sure. First of all, I'm a great believer of technology. Right from the day when computers first came to India in 1982, I set up the first electronic health record, EMR as it is called, medical record, perhaps in the world. It was, I think, the second in the world. The first one was an Italian hospital that I set it up. It's a very small D-based program. Because, 7,000 people die every year because of a wrong prescription of doctor's handwriting, which can't be read. And, all my love letters to my girlfriend used to go to the chemist to be read, because that's how a doctor's handwriting is all about. It's pretty illegible. And, lots of people die because of, so from that, time onwards, electronic medical case histories, today we are all talking about a digital India. You can't have a digital India if you don't have electronic medical case histories. You can't have handwritten things. And that's one of the CSR projects also that I'm doing with the government of UP, where we are picking up some of the clinics as a kind of a test case. And we actually, started recording all the cases in a kind of a centralized database, so that we can use it for research later on, and obviously help get better, medical outcomes. So that's a very important thing. And I think I recognized this many, many years ago, because at that time, almost 40 years ago, people told me that, you bought a computer for which I borrowed money from a bank, at 1.5 lakhs. And I used to call it the green monster because it has a huge green screen. And every time I took out a printer, a prescription on a dot matrix printer, the whole building shook. It went tuck, 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 tuck. So, those were the days. But I started it because I believed in technology. And that time also people told me that, 15,000 rupees har mahina, you're paying an EMI at that time. Instead of that, you could have got one MD doctor, you could have got one chartered accountant to handle your work. And I said, no, I need this because the idea was that number one is you can standardize things. So it's very important to use technology for standardization. Number two is if you want scale, the only way to scale is through technology. Because if you cannot standardize it, you can't have multiple branches. And if you want to scale it, and like, for example, I give you an e-commerce model or a model on e-health, for example, it can only happen through technology. I'm saying it helped us so much that when other companies were struggling, we were as well during the 2 years of COVID, but we were able to move computers into 100 doctors' homes, and we were able to give advice to patients even from in the worst of COVID times. Now we are able to do that because we already had a live network of 24/7 of all our systems being live, all clinics being networked. So it became easy to do it. So I think, technology is a very, very important part. And I think people underestimate it and they are afraid of it. It's like, something which is there, I should not touch. And I found that it's a big challenge for us as well because senior doctors don't want to use technology. They are averse to using it. They don't want to learn anything new. And new doctors they don't have the experience. So to match the two becomes a challenge. But I'm all for technology. I mean, even though it's expensive and it also has recurring costs because it also gets outdated very fast. So right. The challenge with technology is that every 5 years, you have to keep changing all your computer systems. You get new software every year, every alternate year. You have to keep upgrading it. License fees are also pretty high. So it's not very, I would say it's not very cheap and not very easy to do it. But in the long run, it is sustainable. And anybody who has a vision for growth must use technology. And more than that, it's also ease of use because, as far as patients are concerned, it becomes so useful when they can take the appointments on your mobile phone, when you can change appointments like that, when you can get into a system and you can see what's happening. You can get your case history, you can get your whole progress chart like that on your mobile phone. So all of that is possible only through technology.
Absolutely. And one of the other use cases that I remember seeing, and in fact I saw it in your center, is the use of AI, where there is a physical examination of a skin or a scalp that is needed. So it's just helping the doctor not miss out on something which otherwise did not get his attention. So that.
Yeah. So actually, there are two very good points that you. So number one is that last year we introduced AI, artificial intelligence, in hair and in skin as well. So as you mentioned that out of so many possibilities, it kind of tells you exactly what kind of product you should use for your skin, what kind of treatment you should take for your hair, what is the preferred thing. And all of that comes through the past experience of a very specially made AI program, which is specially made for our clinics, and also for the Indian population, because Indian skin is different from an outsider skin. It's very different. All countries have their own pattern of skin depending on the climate and the where they are living. So it's not very easy. So yes, we did all of that, and so it helps to get better results. It helps to get far better patient outcomes, which is why it's important that you use technology. And from that, you can also do machine learning. So machine learning then helps you that whatever helped you in the past, you can use that to benefit patients in the future. So you actually get better patient outcomes as well. So not only do you standardize your practice, but you also get preferred patient outcomes, which is why it's very important to use technology.
Absolutely. And Dr. Batra, one of the things that I've observed is that whenever we are talking of homeopathy, most commonly it is termed as alternate form of medicine, or it is complementary to something else that they are using. How do you see its role evolving within the broader healthcare landscape in the future?
So, somewhere there is a peace line that's already been drawn. And I think this has been drawn really because of changing the nomenclature from alternative to complementary all over the world. So, when you say alternative, it means it has to be either you or me. When it is complementary, it is you plus me. So it's more palatable to the medical profession to actually accept that. So that is the kind of acceptance that today alternatively stroke complementary medicine has. So now it's actually called complementary medicine all over the world because it complements the existing system of treatment, and also it shows that you are the big brother, I'm the small brother. I have my place in this whole field. So I think that's how it is today. Having said that, it is now widely being used as complementary medicine in a lot of cases, including cancer, cases who are suffering from cancer, to give them palliative relief, to give them relief from side effects from, modern medicine, uh, also from radiation, Also, uh, we have examples, for example, for the last, I think, almost 15, 16 years, we are in Bahrain. We are part of a large hospital chain called KIMS, and we have a Dr. Batra's clinic over there. So, we've been practicing this for a very long time. And we have been using homeopathy even for a very large orthodontic, pediatric orthodontic clinic in Dubai, where we had children who had adenoids and therefore they were mouth breathers, and therefore they had misalignment of their teeth, and therefore giving them homeopathic medicine, cured their adenoids without surgery. And then actually the alignment actually then worked because there were better chances of it succeeding because the root cause was then addressed. Similarly, we were tied up with a bariatric surgery surgeon in India, one of the top persons, because lots of people who underwent bariatric surgery suffered from some kind of anxiety syndrome. If I eat this, then I will put on weight again, will I become fat again, and so on and so forth. And there were a lot of fears. So for 5 years we were there. We helped homeopathy, helped to give their patients a kind of a mental balance and emotional well-being when they went through surgery. And even currently, we are with a very large and anti-fertility, or I would say pro-fertility group in Athens. So patients who are not fit for IVF, or people who fail, we give them homeopathic treatment so they can conceive. So these are just examples I'm giving you of how homeopathy is being used all over the world as a complementary system of medicine. Going for further, of course, I believe it will be part of integrated system of medicine ultimately, because integrated medicine is where everybody's moving towards. There'll be greater acceptance, and there'll be far more clinical provings to prove actually what works for which type of disease and for which type of patient. So that then the patient or the consumer, if I may use that word, will actually have the best choice for his type of problem, which today he does not have. Today, everything is only into one bucket. If you're sick, you have to go to hospital. If you're in hospital, then the hospital takes over. You have no choice. You have to do whatever they tell you. And then anyway, insurance pays only for hospitalization. So again, if you choose not to do that, then again, you pay out of your pocket. So there's a whole system that works against other systems of medicine today. But it is gradually changing. And I'm sure that integrated medicine is going to be there for the future and in the near future. And homeopathy is certainly going to play a very, very important role over there.
Absolutely. I think integrated medicine is the future. My last question to you, Dr. Batra, before I let you go is, you said there are about 50% of healthcare practitioners who are practicing in India, but India contributes to 20% of the patient population when it comes to homeopathy. It's a very beautiful opportunity for Indian practitioners and Indian trained homeopathic doctors to start impacting the global homeopathy practice. What do you think should be the role of homeopathic, I would say colleges and practitioners on taking on this responsibility of expanding it worldwide?
That's a very difficult answer because there are so many regulations that kind of restrict it. So, for example, the easiest thing to do really would be to start 6 months, 3 months, 2 months, quick courses, even for medical doctors from abroad to come to India and learn. That's a huge opportunity. But if you do that, then the Central Council does not allow that to happen. The Indian government says no, because you can't have quick, because somebody will get a backdoor entry, somehow come back and then, or maybe don't recognize that degree in India, but recognize it abroad. So let the person at least start practicing over there so that it spreads. Otherwise, they're doing this without any knowledge still. So at least that's better than anything else, So something like this, and because the other way, of course, is that we can export like a brain drain, because there are lots of homeopaths in India. and they could be sent abroad. Again, there are problems of registration, getting them licenses, So again, it's not very easy. So the real shortcut is have a quick course, even through a public-private partnership, like how we have with the Mumbai University. Now we have Gujarat University as well, where Dr. Batra's Academy is doing fellowship courses for 1 year in dermatology. Now we are starting one in oncology, as well with Mumbai University. So that's really like an advanced additional course to the 5.5 year course that you're doing there. It's something that you can value add, So something like that can be done for foreign doctors as well. It would then help them to go and practice over there in a proper way, because that kind of education that they have, except for a few countries, it is very sparse. So that's one way we can do. The second point that I want to make, just from what you said, is that the larger market abroad is not from service, but it is from products. So it is not from doctors treating patients, because there are very few doctors. Because the costs of India are still very, very low. The costs abroad, for example, in Europe, are extremely high. When you want to see a homeopathic doctor, he's a super specialist. He's an MD doctor who's actually an MD doctor who practices MD medicine, but also gives homeopathy medicines. So homeopathy then becomes a super specialty. So in Europe, for example, you have dentists who are homeopaths, you have cardiologists who are homeopaths. So you'll end up paying more. So they are very few and far in between, and also very expensive. But the bulk of the money that comes is through OTC products. OTC products in homeopathy are very popular abroad. People find it very easy to go, for example, to a Boots or to any pharmacy, allopathic pharmacy, anywhere in the world, and pick up a homeopathic complex for headache, migraine, backache, stomach ache, and so on and so forth. So that is where the big market lies. And that is still growing very, very fast as well. But it's not bespoke medicine then. That's the difference.
Got it. Dr. Batra, thank you so much for taking out time. I know you have a flight to catch, and you're headed to be, acknowledged for your contribution in Delhi. And Dr. Batra, this conversation has actually brought out very beautiful points and opportunities, as you answered the last question. When you're looking at the products that are being acknowledged globally, maybe coming out of India, with the number of practitioners that we have, number of trained people in homeopathy that we have, the number of colleges that are coming up now is increasing. I'm absolutely sure that R&D efforts will also go up, and we'll be the supplier of homeopathy drugs to the world. With that, I must thank you, and gratitude to you for taking our time to speak to us, sir.
Thank you so much. It's always lovely to meet you and to talk to all your people. And I hope that your message goes around to as many people and they benefit from it. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. So welcome, Dr. Pradeep Gupta, on the occasion of the World Homeopathy Day. You and your practice got a lot of attention during COVID when you treated COVID patients successfully. Sir, ऐसा क्या unique था? What was so unique? आपने कैसे you got the attention of everyone? Can you share a little bit about the experience? क्या हुआ था? कैसे किया आपने, सर?
सबसे पहले नरुला जी, आपको और आपके सारे दर्शकों को विश्व होम्योपैथी दिवस की बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। ये हमारे सब होम्योपैथ के लिए बड़ा प्राउड डे है। अब बात आती है कोविड की, तो मैं आपको यहाँ पर अपना एक छोटा सा शेयर करना चाहता हूँ थॉट। जिस समय कोविड चल रहा था, मैं उस समय कंबोडिया में गया हुआ था वेकेशन पर। तो वेकेशन पे क्या होता है कि आपके पास समय होता है सोचने का। तो मैंने सोचा कोविड है तो वायरस है, तो इसमें इतना डरने की क्या बात है। होम्योपैथी में तो बहुत सारी मेडिसिन है जो वायरस को ट्रीट करती हैं, हम लोग रोज वायरस को ही ट्रीट करते हैं, तो इतना तो कुछ सोचने का, इतना डरने का कोई बात नहीं है। तो ये सोच करके मैंने वहां से अपनी टीम को अलर्ट किया कि भाई इस पे जो भी जितना भी पब्लिक डोमेन में इंफॉर्मेशन है सबको कलेक्ट करो और हम लोग इसकी कोई मेडिसिन सजेस्ट करेंगे। तो जो पब्लिक डोमेन में जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन थी उसको एनालाइज करके और हम लोगों ने 4 मेडिसिन उस समय सजेस्ट की, ब्रेवनिया, आर्सेनिक, एंटिमटार्ट और हीपसल। तो वो इतना सटीक आकलन रहा कि फर्स्ट वेव में 92% लोगों को ब्रायनिया ने इफेक्ट किया। और उसी स्टडी के चलते हुए अपना गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने मेरे को एक ट्रायल के लिए रजिस्टर किया, तो आईसीएमआर में। तो वो हम लोगों ने जो हमारे पास में एक मेडिकल कॉलेज है उसमें वो ट्रायल किया। तो उसमें भी ये हुआ कि जो जिनका जो अपना वायरल लोड था और जो टेस्ट उस समय बहुत पॉपुलर था, वो 2-2 वीक में नेगेटिव होता था, वो 5 दिन में नेगेटिव हो गया ऑलमोस्ट 85% लोगों का। और सिम्टम फ्री तो वो लोग 2 दिन के अंदर ही हो गए सारे, फीवर गोन विद इन 2 डेज। तो उससे एक बड़ा मन में करेज आया। तो फिर हम लोगों ने बाद में नेमिनास होम्योपैथिक हॉस्पिटल को भी कोविड केयर सेंटर गवर्नमेंट ऑफ यूपी ने डिक्लेयर किया, और हम लोगों ने 14,565 लोगों का इलाज किया। और सबसे अच्छी बात ये थी कि उस समय हमारे पास ऐसे पेशेंट भी आए थे जिनका के सेचुरेशन ऑक्सीजन का 8, 12 और 15 तक था, जिनको वेंटिलेटर वाले हॉस्पिटल लेने से मना कर रहे थे। और ऑलमोस्ट इतने सारे पेशेंट में 90% वो लोग थे जिनका सेचुरेशन 30 से 50 के बीच में था। तो वो लोग 1 दिन से 2 दिन में काफी सेटल हो गए, और 5 दिन से ज्यादा कोई एडमिट नहीं रहा। और 14,565 लोगों में से केवल 6 मॉर्टेलिटी हुई थी। तो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट बात ये थी, जबकि हॉस्पिटलाइज केसेस में मॉर्टेलिटी की रेट बहुत ज्यादा थी उस समय। दूसरा, एक हम लोगों ने क्या किया था कि एक ऐसा व्यू लिया था कि कोविड है तो लोगों, उससे पहले लॉकडाउन था, लोगों के पास पैसा नहीं था। तो गवर्नमेंट की गाइडलाइन थी, हमारा हॉस्पिटल एनएबीएच एक्रेडिटेड है कि भाई आप 8,500 रुपए पर बेड ले सकते हैं। तो हमने क्या किया कि 8,500 का एक जीरो हटा दिया। तो जनरल वार्ड में 850 रुपए में हम लोगों ने बेड दिया, और रूम का चार्ज हम लोगों ने 2,500 रुपए रखा। तो उससे क्या हुआ, एक बहुत सेटिस्फेक्शन खुद को भी हुआ, पब्लिक में एक इमेज ऐसी क्रिएट हुई कि ज्यादातर हॉस्पिटल उस समय बहुत पैसा बना रहे थे, कमा रहे थे, लूट रहे थे। तो ऐसे करके क्या हुआ कि एक अपने को बहुत पॉजिटिव वाइब मिला। और पर्टिकुलरली आगरा में तो ऐसा था कि भाई नेमिनाथ हॉस्पिटल एक अच्छा हॉस्पिटल है और काम कर रहा है। और दूसरी बात क्या थी कि हम लोग उस समय जो प्रोटोकॉल था स्टैंडर्ड मास्क का और पीपी का, वो भी नहीं फॉलो किए थे, क्योंकि हम लोगों का फर्म बिलीफ था कि जो मेडिसिन पेशेंट को काम कर रही है वही मेडिसिन से वो हम लोग सेफ रहेंगे। तो हम सारे स्टाफ ने, हमारे जितने भी पेशेंट थे, उनके अटेंडेंट को हम लोग वो मेडिसिन पहले शुरू कर देते थे, ब्रायनिया और आर्सेनिक। तो वो कोविड जैसा कोई सिचुएशन किसी भी स्टाफ को, किसी अटेंडेंट को आया नहीं। और जैसे कि जो था कि कोविड में अटेंडेंट अलाउड नहीं था, दूर से खाना फेंक के देते थे, वो सब हम लोगों के यहाँ था नहीं। हम लोग तो पेशेंट के साथ खूब बात करते थे, मौज मस्ती करते। सबसे पहले तो उसको यही बोलते थे, डरने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, देखो हमको कोई डर नहीं है, ना हमने मास्क लगाए ना हमने पीपी पहना है, तो आप मस्त रहो, ठीक हो जाओगे। तो उससे कॉन्फिडेंस डेवलप होता था। और उसका रिजल्ट ये रहा कि पेशेंट लगभग सब 1 से 2 दिन में ठीक हो गए थे। तो ये कोविड की स्टोरी है।
दिस वाज अमेजिंग सर। मतलब ये चीज बहुत एक होता है विश्वास, बड़े विश्वास आपको स्ट्रेंथ दे दे, करेज दे दे कि अपने ऊपर भी आप रिस्क लेने को तैयार हैं। ये सबसे बड़ी कन्विक्शन का लेवल है। अच्छा सर, आपने बताया कि आपका अस्पताल जो सा है वो एनएबीएच accredited है।
Yes, sir.
I think it was the first or the first hospital of homeopathy to be accredited by NABH.
Yes, it was the first hospital in India accredited by the NABH, Quality Council of India, as a homeopathic hospital.
So sir, आपने what prompted you to think of getting this accreditation and NABH को कैसे confidence आया? और दूसरी चीज, क्योंकि हम अस्पताल की बात कर रहे हैं, हम एक क्लिनिक या ओपीडी की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं। इसमें इमरजेंसी केसेस भी आते होंगे, कार्डियोलॉजी के केसेस आते हैं। तो क्या होम्योपैथी इन सब सिचुएशंस को आपके हॉस्पिटल में हैंडल करने के लिए गुड है? क्या होम्योपैथी अकेले से ये चीज हैंडल करी जा सकती है?
यस सर, मैं आपको वही बता रहा हूँ कि सबसे पहले हम एनएवीएच की बात करते हैं। तो मेरा एक फोकस शुरू से रहा है कि हम लोग क्वालिटी मेंटेन करें, स्टैंडर्डाइज करें चीजों को, उनकी एसओपी बनाएं, कोई भी चीज बेग नहीं रहे। तो उसको लेकर के हम लोगों ने एनएवीएच को अप्रोच किया और उन्होंने हमारे को इंस्पेक्शन किया, पहले प्री इंस्पेक्शन किया, बाद में दूसरा इंस्पेक्शन किया और फाइनली हम लोगों को दे दिया। तो ये तो वहां की बात थी। अभी जो आपने कहा कि इमरजेंसी वाली बात, तो हमारे हॉस्पिटल में एक इमरजेंसी यूनिट अलग से है और वो 24 आवर और 365 डेज ओपन रहता है। और हम लोग इमरजेंसी सारी होम्योपैथी से ही ट्रीट करते हैं। बस उसमें जो आप काफी बार ऐसा आता है कि भाई ये तो जैसे हम लोग सलाइन लगाना है, किसी को डिहाइड्रेशन हो रहा है या किसी को रोड साइड एक्सीडेंट पे हम लोगों के पास आते हैं, तो
जी।
ब्लड बहुत ज्यादा जो हो गया है, साइको शॉक में है, हेमरेजिक, तो उसमें हम लोग उनको जो भी मेडिसिकेशन होता है, लाइक इलेक्ट्रोलाइट देना है या विटामिन देना है, उनका इन्फ्यूजन करते हैं।
हम्म,
बाकी हम लोग एलोपैथी मेडिसिन नहीं देते हैं।
हम्म,
बट क्योंकि हम लोग बहुत सीरियस पेशेंट डील करते हैं, जैसे टर्सरी केयर के बहुत सारे पेशेंट हमारे पास आते हैं, पर्टिकुलरली हम लोग ऑन्कोलॉजी में बहुत काम करते हैं।
अच्छा।
हाँ, तो मैं उसको पैलिएटिव ऑन्कोलॉजी कहता हूँ कि फोर्थ स्टेज का पेशेंट आ रहा है जिसको बोल दिया कि भाई आपका कोई ट्रीटमेंट नहीं है, आप जाइए और हम लोग नहीं कर सकते हैं। ऐसे 20 से 25 पेशेंट मेरे पास एडमिट रहते हैं।
हम्म,
और उनमें बहुत सारे पेशेंट ऐसे हैं जो जिनका लाइफ स्पेन, जिनको बोला गया कि 1 हफ्ते रहेंगे या 1 महीने रहेंगे, वो 5-10 साल भी आराम से निकाल गए हैं।
हम्म,
एक बात। दूसरी बात क्या है कि जैसे जो ओपिएट पेन किलर्स हैं वो
हम्म,
भी काम नहीं कर रहे हैं, तो होम्योपैथिक में मेडिसिन ऐसी हैं कि वो हम लोग उनको सिम्टम फ्री कर देते हैं। तो उनको किसी तरह का पेन, बर्निंग और ये सब खत्म हो जाता है। दूसरा जो एक फियर होता है, तो वो सबसे पहले हम लोगों के यहाँ क्या है कि फियर को हम लोग रिमूव कर देते हैं। तो आजकल पैलिएटिव ऑन्कोलॉजी और फ्रेश केसेस भी आते हैं तो हम लोग उनका क्योर की तरफ ले जाते हैं और बहुत सारे रिजल्ट अच्छे आ रहे हैं। तो आई एम टू मच सेटिस्फाइड विद दिस प्रोग्रेस ऑफ द हॉस्पिटल होम्योपैथी एज वेल एज फॉर द पब्लिक वेलफेयर एंड अवेयरनेस। वी आर गेटिंग लॉट ऑफ अटेंशन।
वेरी नाइस। तो सर ये लंग कैंसर जो सा होता है, जो
जी
अर्ली
सर।
स्टेज पर अगर डिटेक्ट किया जाए, तो क्या इसके अंदर भी होम्योपैथी का ट्रीटमेंट है?
हाँ सर। अभी आपने बात की है तो मैं आपको मुझे एक घटना याद आ रही है। 2008 में एक यंग मैन, उसकी एज करीब रही होगी 18-19 साल, वो लंग कैंसर से पीड़ित था और उसको कफिंग कफिंग कंटिन्यूअस कफिंग रहता था और ब्लड की वॉमिटिंग होती थी, सीवियर हेमेटोमेसिस, हिमोप्लास्टिस तो था ही। तो अच्छा, वो पुअर था, एम्स में उसका ऑपरेशन नहीं हो पा रहा था, फंड नहीं थे। तो हमने उसको एज ए एक स्टडी ऑब्जर्वेशन में बता करके, भाई देखो हम लोग कर पाएंगे नहीं कर पाएंगे मालूम नहीं है, पर आपको कोशिश करते हैं, आप एडमिट हो जाइए। तो वो बच्चा करीब 2 महीने एडमिट रहा और मुझे आज इस बात की बहुत खुशी है कि वो ठीक हो गया पूरी तरह से। बाद में उसका सारा, अब वो 3 3 महीने में अपना चेकअप कराता रहता है। अब वो 3 3 महीने से हटके 3 3 साल में हो गया है। उसकी मैरिज भी हो गई, उसको 2 बच्चे भी हो गए। तो वो एक ब्रांड एम्बेसडर का काम करता है। वो बहुत सारे 100 से ज्यादा पेशेंट कैंसर के, लंग कैंसर के लेके आया है हॉस्पिटल में और ऑलमोस्ट लोग सभी ठीक हैं। तो कुछ ऐसा इशू नहीं है।
ठीक है।
जी।
अच्छा सर, बहुत बारी माना जाता है कि कुछ डिजीजेस है, जैसे कैंसर, ये डायबिटीज है।
जी।
डायबिटीज, वी आर दी डायबिटीज कैपिटल ऑफ द वर्ल्ड नाउ। आई मीन हमारी 50% पॉपुलेशन कहीं ना कहीं प्री डायबिटिक या डायबिटिक में कहीं ना कहीं अफेक्टेड है, और
यस।
उसकी वजह से बहुत सारे अदर कॉम्प्लिकेशंस निकल के आते हैं। नाउ ये माना जाता है, या बहुत देर से माना जा रहा है, कि डायबिटीज उनसे इसको मैनेज कर सकते हैं, इसको क्योर नहीं कर सकते। क्या ये सही
सर,
है, या होम्योपैथी के अंदर कुछ क्योर है जो ये पूरा एरेडिकेट कर दे?
सर मैं आपको बस थोड़ा सा अपना इस पे व्यू शेयर करना चाहता हूँ मैं इस डिबेट में नहीं जा रहा कि डायबिटीज क्योरेबल है नहीं क्योरेबल है, क्योंकि मैं डायबिटीज को डिजीज ही नहीं मानता। डायबिटीज मेरे लिए कोई डिजीज नहीं है, वो एक लाइफस्टाइल डिसऑर्डर है। तो मैं अभी 30,000 से ज्यादा लोगों को डायबिटीज से मुक्त कर चुका हूं। मेरा एमडी, मैं 3 सब्जेक्ट में एमडी हूं बाय द वे। आई एम द ओनली वन इन इंडिया और इन द वर्ल्ड। तो मेरा जो सेकंड एमडी था वो डायबिटीज पे ही था, मेरा डिसर्टेशन, मेरा थीसिस वही था। तो मैं ये 1994 से कर रहा हूँ काम डायबिटीज पर। तो ऑलमोस्ट 30 ईयर हो गए मुझे करते हुए। तो मैं आपको इसमें बहुत छोटी सी बात बताता हूँ कि हम होम्योपैथी मेडिसिन तो वो जो करती है वो करती है, अगर हम अपना डाइटरी थोड़ा चेंज कर लें, ग्रेन्स को रेस्ट्रिक्ट कर दें, पर्टिकुलरली व्हीट छोड़ दें, गेहूं को खाना छोड़ दें, और दूध को और दूध के प्रोडक्ट हैं, जितना भी मिल्क प्रोडक्ट है, डेयरी प्रोडक्ट है, उसको छोड़ दें, और ग्रीन लीफी वेजिटेबल्स और अपना पल्सेज पर आ जाए, तो एब्सोल्युटली 1 हफ्ते के अंदर डायबिटीज की मेडिसिन खाने की जरूरत नहीं है। मेरे पास 1000 से ज्यादा लोग ऐसे हैं जो इंसुलिन भी लगाना बंद कर चुके हैं और एकदम ठीक है। और मेरे हॉस्पिटल का एसओपी है कि हम पेशेंट को एडमिट करते हैं, उसी दिन उसका एलोपैथी मेडिसिन, इंसुलिन वगैरह, गोली वगैरह सब बंद कर देते हैं, और उनको बोलते हैं कि आप अपना ग्लूकोमीटर लाइए और खुद चेक कीजिए और हमको बताइए कितना है। और साइमल्टेनियसली हम लोग उनका ब्लड सैंपल भी लेते हैं, और वो उनको अपने यहाँ भी करते हैं, और एक दूसरी पैथोलॉजी में जो एनएबीएल एक्रेडिटेड पैथोलॉजी है उसके साथ टाई अप है, उनको भेजते हैं जिससे कोई फ्लॉ ना रहे। तो अपने डायबिटीज में टेक ये है कि 95% लोग बहुत आराम से रिवर्सेबल हो जाते हैं। मैं वर्ड क्योर यूज नहीं कर रहा हूं, क्योंकि अगर वो वापस में अपना लाइफ स्टाइल चेंज कर देंगे और हाई ग्लाइसेमिक इंडेक्स फूड लेंगे तो वो दोबारा से बढ़ेगा। सर्टेन रेस्ट्रिक्शंस के साथ उनका रिवर्सिबल है और टोटली रिवर्सिबल है, इसमें किसी तरह का कोई संदेह नहीं है।
ठीक है, ठीक है। अच्छा डॉक्टर गुप्ता, होम्योपैथी एजुकेशन इंडिया में अब तेजी पकड़ रही है। अभी अगर हम देखें, मैं डॉक्टर बत्रा से बात कर रहा था एंड वी आर फाइंडिंग आउट दैट 50% ऑफ होम्योपैथिक प्रैक्टिशनर्स आर इन इंडिया। लेकिन वर्ल्ड वाइड 50 करोड़ लोग होम्योपैथी को यूज कर रहे हैं। 20% ऑफ दैट इज इन इंडिया, बट 40 करोड़ ग्लोबली आउटसाइड इंडिया भी होम्योपैथी एक्सेप्ट कर रहे हैं। नाउ हमें डॉक्टर्स की जरूरत है, वी नीड मोर होम्योपैथिक डॉक्टर्स। लेकिन इंडिया के अंदर होम्योपैथी एज अ एजुकेशन इज ऑलवेज अ सेकेंड प्रायोरिटी। जो मेडिसिन में जाना चाहता है वो पहले एलोपैथी कोशिश करता है, फिर उसके बाद सोचता है कि चलो एलोपैथी नहीं मिली तो मैं होम्योपैथिक में चले जाता हूँ। इसको कैसे चेंज कर सकते हैं? हाउ कैन पीपल derive inspiration from people like you, people like Dr. Batra and all, कि ये एक करियर अपॉर्चुनिटी है, दिस कुड बी अ फर्स्ट चॉइस फॉर मेनी पीपल, इसमें आगे करियर प्रोस्पेक्ट्स हैं, इसको कैसे हम लोगों तक पहुंचा सकते हैं?
ये एक बड़ा चैलेंज है, इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है। चूंकि होम्योपैथी की प्रैक्टिस थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट है, इसलिए कि थोड़ा टाइम टेकिंग है, तो एकदम से उसमें लोगों को बहुत ऐसा नहीं आता है। लेकिन अगर आप लगे रहते हैं तो मैंने ये देखा है कि बहुत अच्छा लोग कमा रहे हैं होम्योपैथी से। मेरे बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट ऐसे हैं जिनकी प्रैक्टिस मतलब 10-10 लाख रुपए पर मंथ की है, और मैं इस बात से बहुत खुश हूं कि मेरा कोई भी स्टूडेंट ऐसा नहीं जो 1 लाख रुपए पर मंथ से कम कमा रहा है। बट ये चैलेंज है, अभी फर्स्ट चॉइस नहीं बन रही है, और बट आई एम कॉन्फिडेंट कि धीरे धीरे बनेगी। कुछ स्टूडेंट ऐसे हैं जो जिनका एडमिशन एलोपैथी में हो सकता है, वो होम्योपैथी में आ रहे हैं, और वो केवल यही सोच के आ रहे हैं कि नहीं, हमने आपसे इंस्पिरेशन लिया है तो हमें आपके यहाँ पढ़ना है। तो ऐसा, पर इनफैक्ट मासेज में अभी ये चीज में थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा।
और सर मेरा एक क्वेश्चन आपसे एक और है, क्योंकि आप होम्योपैथिक कॉलेज चला रहे हैं
जी
और साथ में आपका अस्पताल भी है,
जी
आपके पास एक सक्सेसफुल प्रैक्टिस है, आपके पास केस स्टडीज हैं जिसमें आपने जो चीजों की बात कर रहे हैं आपने प्रूव कर दिया, जैसे आप कोविड की बात कर रहे हैं, डायबिटीज की बात कर रहे हैं, कैंसर की बात है, बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग केस स्टडीज हैं ये। हाउ कैन वी क्रिएट अ कल्चर ऑफ रिसर्च इन इंडिया ताकि इंडिया से होम्योपैथिक मेडिसिन डिस्कवर होके वर्ल्ड तक पहुंचाई जाए?
ये भी एक चैलेंज है नरूला जी। एक्चुअली जो रिसर्च की बात की है आपने, तो होम्योपैथी की रिसर्च एक अलग तरह की रिसर्च है। उसको हम एलोपैथी की रिसर्च या दूसरे तरह की रिसर्च पैरामीटर्स पे नहीं ले सकते हैं। तो ये बड़ा सेटबैक है होम्योपैथी को कि वो हम इतना सारा काम करते हुए भी उसको उन पैरामीटर्स पे नहीं बता सकते, क्योंकि ये इंडिविजुअलिस्टिक मेडिसिन है। अब रहा विदेशों की बात, तो मैं आपको फिर वापस आता हूँ कोविड पर। जैसे आप मेरा इंटरव्यू ले रहे हैं, ऐसे कोविड में मेरा कुछ फॉरेन मैगजीन थी, उन्होंने इंटरव्यू लिया और वो यूरोप में बहुत पॉपुलर हुआ उस समय। तो मेरे पास बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट यूरोप से आते हैं, बहुत सारे डॉक्टर आते हैं जो अपना मैं क्लिनिकल ट्रेनिंग करके प्रोग्राम चलाता हूँ, उसमें उनको दिखाता हूँ कि पेशेंट आया, उसको हम लोग किस तरह से बात करेंगे, उसका कैसे केस टेकिंग करेंगे, उसको क्या मेडिसिन देंगे और वो कैसे ठीक होता है। तो जो मेरे हॉस्पिटल का एसओपी है वो हम 20 मिनट के अंदर 20 मिनट्स में, होम्योपैथी का एक स्टिग्मा है कि बहुत देर में काम करती है, तो उसको मैंने एकदम सीन चेंज कर दिया है। पेशेंट को 20 मिनट के अंदर रिलीफ देते हैं हम लोग। तो ऐसा 95% पेशेंट में 20 मिनट के अंदर, तो 40 मिनट के अंदर रिलीफ आ जाता है। तो वो देखने के लिए, वो सीखने के लिए बहुत सारे फॉरेनर्स आते हैं, बहुत सारे डॉक्टर्स आते हैं और ऐसा चलता रहता है। तो ये चल रहा है। बाकी रिसर्च की बात है तो हम लोग उस पर भी पूरी तरह से फोकस कर रहे हैं कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा पब्लिकेशन हो, बट अभी इसमें चैलेंजेस हैं, इसमें तो कोई शक नहीं है।
और सर एक लास्ट क्वेश्चन आपसे ये है कि बहुत सारी एप्लीकेशन की जाती है, मेरे दिमाग में इसलिए आया क्योंकि आपने बोला कि लोगों के मन में धारणा है कि होम्योपैथी बहुत स्लो है,
यस
एंड आप कह रहे हैं 20 मिनट्स में हम रिलीफ दे देते हैं।
यस।
तो बहुत लोग ये एलिगेशन लगाते हैं कि यार होम्योपैथिक डॉक्टर्स जो से है ना, ये बीच में स्टेरॉइड्स मिक्स कर रहे हैं, कुछ कर रहे हैं। इसके बारे में आपको क्या कहना है?
मैं आपको बहुत सिंपल बात कहता हूँ कि जो भी पेशेंट होम्योपैथी में आता है वो ऑलरेडी स्टेरॉइड और वो सब खा के आया होता है। तो अगर स्टेरॉइड इतना ही इफेक्टिव होता तो वहीं रुक जाता, वो हमारे पास नहीं आता। दूसरा क्या है कि स्टेरॉइड पब्लिक डोमेन में है, सारा जो कॉर्टिकोस्टेरॉइड्स हैं उनका टैबलेट होता है या इंजेक्शन होता है, वो किसी भी तरह से होम्योपैथी मेडिसिन में मिक्स नहीं किया जा सकता। वो दोनों चीजें एकदम टोटली डिफरेंट हैं। तो ये तो एक फॉल्स प्रोपेगेंडा है। मैं नहीं समझता हूँ कोई भी होम्योपैथ स्टेरॉइड देता होगा। कोई जो मिक्स प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, होम्योपैथिक मेडिसिन भी देते हैं, एलोपैथी देते हैं, ऐसे कुछ परसेंटेज केस हो सकते हैं, बट बाई एंड लार्ज कोई भी होम्योपैथ स्टेरॉइड नहीं देता है, ना प्रीफर करता है, और ना ही स्टेरॉइड कोई ऐसा गेम चेंजर है। आपने देखा हो कोविड में उल्टा हुआ, जितने लोगों को स्टेरॉइड लगा के उनकी डेथ ज्यादा हुई। तो स्टेरॉइड कोई ऐसा नहीं है कि वो 5 मिनट में 20 मिनट में रिलीफ दे देगा। कोई भी मेडिसिन अगर स्टेरॉइड भी है तो हम उसको खाएंगे, वो स्टमक में डिजोल्व होगा, वहां से इंटेस्टाइन में आएगा, लार्ज इंटेस्टाइन में आएगा, फिर वहां से ब्लड स्ट्रीम में आएगा, तो उसको कम से कम 1.5-2 घंटा लगेगा
जी।
तो मैं तो अपना आपको ऐसे बता रहा हूँ 20 मिनट में पेशेंट आके बोलता है हाँ मुझे आराम है। तो ये तो कुछ बात है नहीं जी।
बट डॉक्टर प्रदीप गुप्ता, इट इज सच अ प्लेजर टू टॉक टू यू एज ऑलवेज। मैं हमारी पहले भी बात हो रखी है, बट बहुत अच्छा लगता है जिस लेवल ऑफ कन्विक्शन से आप बात करते हैं, तो कि मैं सर जो बोल रहा हूँ वो मैं करके देख चुका हूँ। सो विच इज वेरी वेरी गुड। एंड सिंस यू आर रनिंग हॉस्पिटल, यू आर रनिंग एजुकेशन सेंटर अराउंड होम्योपैथी, ये आज की डेट में बहुत जरूरी है, बिकॉज होम्योपैथी तो ग्रो कर रहा है, लेकिन होम्योपैथी इंडिया में मेरे ख्याल से जिस पेस पे ग्रो कर रहा है बाहर शायद ना कर रहा होगा। सो आई थिंक इट इज इम्पेरेटिव दैट पीपल लाइक यू, पीपल लाइक डॉक्टर बत्रा, ऑल ऑफ जिन्होंने बहुत अचीव कर लिया है, दे बिकम अ सोर्स ऑफ इंस्पिरेशन फॉर एवरीवन एल्स. And I'm so glad to see all of you are putting up training institutes, colleges, hospitals, and making a difference. So thank you so much for doing that, and on special
Thank you very
thanks
much.
to World Homeopathy.
थैंक यू नरोला जी, आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि आप होम्योपैथी को अपने माध्यम से बढ़ावा दे रहे हैं, इसके लिए आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। थैंक
Thank
यू
you
वेरी
so
मच।
much. Thank you so much.
थैंक यू।